just how young you were in some of those moments, watching that back. I mean, you were just 7 when you started.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredibly young. You were going all around the world for competitions. But I was most interested about what your coach said is that during competition, there were 2 Toms.
Oh, yes.
What does he mean by that?
There were very much 2 I used to, like, during the day, being like a competitive animal kind of thing, I used to love competing. There's no feeling like it when you're standing on the edge of the diving board, being able to compete and do the thing that you love to do. But I used to get so incredibly homesick. I mean, I used to be the boy that was the 10-year-old that would fly across to Australia on his own without his parents and get so incredibly homesick that I would cry myself to sleep, and just like, I hated being away on my own when, being jet lagged is difficult anyway, but when you're a kid away from everything that you're used to, I did really, really struggle with that. And, you grow out of it eventually, but I think looking back, doing this documentary and seeing clips that I had never seen before that my dad had filmed, things that I had seen from archival stuff, I kind of never really quite understood how difficult I was finding it at the time, because you always look back on your life and on like the happy moments and you don't think about the stuff that was actually going on.
But through that struggle, what's abundantly clear is just absolute dedication. You got to achieve your dream, 13 years old, you go to the Olympics. That's a massive achievement. What was the reaction like at school and where you grew up? Yeah,
I mean, going to the Olympics was it was a weird thing, because I think I'd just finished year 8 or I was going into year 9 or something, and I remember coming back from those games thinking that, I've done my first Olympics, ready to move on to the next one. Next one's London 2012. And I did come back to some quite, growing up in school is difficult anyway. But then once you have like a thing that's been quite in the public eye and on a big stage like the Olympic Games, I came back to some quite horrible, bullying. And it's always really awkward and hard to talk about, because I always feel like when you are somebody that's been bullied, you always feel a little bit ashamed and embarrassed to talk about the fact that it happened to you. So yeah, that was something that I really had kind of struggled with and had to kind of go through it very publicly as well.
Yeah, but someone that was by your side kind of throughout the bullying and the paparazzi and the attention was your dad, Rob.
Yes.
And I love the fact that he always, made it very clear, even if there was, a stadium full of people, you would be able to spot him.
He was there. He would be waving that massive Union flag, whacking people in the face, and he wouldn't care. Like, I knew exactly where he was at all times. I mean, he was my biggest cheerleader, my biggest support. He came to every training session, every competition. He was there through everything. And he wasn't just my dad, he was like my best friend. And it was our dream and our mission to go on together to try and win an Olympic medal.
Yeah, truly incredible person. And again, back to you, that's so much pressure that you had to put on yourself, supporting your family financially. You've been very open about your mental health battles, including having an eating disorder. How were you able to sort of compartmentalise all of that in order to focus and compete and to win?
I mean, compartmentalisation, I think, is something that I have had to learn to do from a very young age, because when you go into a competition, you have to be extremely focused on that one thing and can't really let anything else get in the way. But then having to do school, having to do diving stuff, doing media stuff, having family life, and also growing up, figuring out who I was as a person was also that internalised battle that I was having growing up, and having to do it where people were constantly asking questions and, and being in media interviews and being asked about it all the time was quite a challenging thing. And I look back at the footage of my young self, and you can see that I just put on this massive front because I'm too scared of people figuring out who I actually am.
Yeah, it's a fascinating watch, and
Truly.
You're still there, even though you know the ending, you're still cheering you on. So it's really brilliant. And Tom's film, 1.6 Seconds, is available from Sunday on the